So good morning to everybody, and we shall continue the presentation on the mindfulness meditation, which we have gone through these last days. And yesterday in particular, we have come to the practice for mindfulnesses, and out of which the first mindfulness of the Guru on one's head, that has been explained, and the importance of such in mindfulness, and also the importance of the right state of mind, of faith and devotion based upon a clear understanding. So that is a very fundamental point, a very root point in the practice of Dharma in general, and especially in the practice of meditation. Since the right faith based upon right understanding in the root of all path, which is one's spiritual guide, is an indispensable foundation or essence of all our practice of Dharma. So, not go still more into details, because most of you have heard many times the teaching of the Lamrim, so where this point is explained very thoroughly as the first most important point of the practice. And the visualization of the Guru has already been said yesterday, is placed upon the crown of one's head in the form of Supreme Guru Buddha Shakyamuni, or like Master Jetsongkhapa, separately or combined into one. That as we always used to so-called Munindra Vajradhara. So this means one's Guru in the form of Jetsongkhapa, in whose heart there is Buddha Shakyamuni, in whose heart there is Vajradhara, or there is a syllable Hum. So that way the triple form of the Guru, outer form is in the form of Guru Master Jetsongkhapa, in his heart is the Buddha Shakyamuni, and in his heart Vajradhara or syllable Hum. That way it becomes triple form of the Guru in one, which is called Guru the Lama Lobsang Tuando Chang, that means Guru Sumati Munindra Vajradhara. That way it becomes the combination of three kayas, or the bodies of the Buddha. The outer form of the Guru is Nirmana Kaya, and inside Buddha Shakyamuni becomes Sambhogakaya, and inside the syllable Hum becomes Dharmakaya. That way it can also be, that way one can also see the meaning of those. But anyway, in such kind of combined form, or just simply visualizing Buddha Shakyamuni or Jetsongkhapa in whatever is suitable, in that way one visualizes the Guru on the seat above one's head, on the 1,000 lotus. When we say on the head, means it's a little bit separated from one's head, not completely touching the head. So with a little separation between, and there in the space right above one's head, then one visualizes such lotus seat with the moon disk and sun disk, and on which sits the Guru. Many of us who also regularly practice the Guru Yoga based on our precious Master Geshe Rinpoche, which I have written, and I have also gave the transmission, explanation, everything about it. If someone is practicing it regularly and very familiar with that, then one can also do the visualization accordingly. The Guru in the form of our precious Master, as I have described, as it is explained in the Guru Yoga. So if one is so well familiar with that, then one can just simply see the Guru in such a form, one does not necessarily need to change in something else. So important thing is that generation of that faith and the devotion, and taking refuge wholeheartedly from this moment until the state of full enlightenment, then seeing the Guru as the very source of all blessings and all the siddhis, realizations, and as well as the perfect guide oneself up to the ultimate state of full enlightenment, and without ever any separation. With this kind of one-pointed faith and the trust and the attitude of taking refuge one has to do such practice. If one doesn't have that kind of the right attitude or determination in the mind, then only visualization alone cannot be also effective. So such practice, then it fulfills practice of Guru Yoga. Guru Yoga is exactly there. Visualization of the Guru and generation of this right attitude towards the Guru, the embodiment of three jewels as representative of all the objects of refuge, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So on that way going for refuge from this moment until the state of full enlightenment. That is the essence of the practice of Guru Yoga. So when one develops that kind of attitude, then fulfills really the root of the path. The Guru devotion is always emphasized as the root of the path. Just like the root of the tree. A tree, in order to stand for long time, it must have a root. If there is no root, it doesn't work. And then it's like flowers put in this vase, there is no root, so it is soon going to die. So therefore, the root is very important. And also a tree's root, if it is damaged, if it is rotten or something, then again the tree will die very soon. And if even though it is not written, if it is shaky, the root is not well founded, very shaky, then any strong wind will knock it down. So therefore, there should be 3 points. There must be absolutely a root, a strong root. And secondly, it should be healthy, really strong, undamaged. And thirdly, also very well rooted, not shaky or anything like that. Or there should be free from 3 defects. In the same way, first of all, one should have that attitude of taking refuge in the Guru. Or in other words, such a reliance upon the correct way of reliance upon the spiritual guide or Guru devotion is very necessary. When that is non-existent, when it's not at all there, then it's rootless tree or rootless plant. And even if there is such a reliance or some kind of practice like that, but it is not well done, is not purely done, it's full of misconceptions and this and that, then it's like a rotten root, which also doesn't work. And out of that, nothing really, the spiritual qualities can never really grow perfectly. Like out of a rotten root, also things cannot grow. And one also should have that kind of attitude, that kind of reliance, permanent, not only for some time, not only in this life, not only also in 1 or 2 or 3 lives, instead up to the state of enlightenment. That kind of attitude is very important. That is like having a very well-established root, cannot be shaken from any wind or storm or whatsoever. So these 3 things must be, is the essential point of the Guru devotion. When Guru devotion has these 3 qualities, then it is really stable and strong, and on the basis of that, all other qualities, all other realizations will just follow by itself, by themselves. Generally in the practice of Dharma, there are certain precepts that one takes till the end of one's life, as long as I live, or like that. When one, in the practice of good devotion, and when one takes refuge wholeheartedly in the Guru, also who is also embodiment of 3 jewels, then one takes the refuge up to the state of enlightenment. That's very essential, very important. Or that way, right from the beginning, developing this attitude. That is just like having a very firm root of a tree, unshakable and ever standing, firmly established root of a tree. By developing such attitude, one receives the benefit, actual benefit of being guided by a perfect spiritual guide until the state of enlightenment. No matter what length of time it may take, how many lives it may take, it will always be guided on the path by a perfect spiritual guide. Through that, through such kind of motivation, through such kind of attitude, one establishes that kind of link So therefore it is for ourselves, then it becomes something very profitable, something very beneficial. There are always dangers and risks and always there, let alone till enlightenment or anything like that. But even this guidance from one life to another can easily break. Not only that, even in one's life alone, all the link of the Dharma can break down due to our own misconception. When such a link to the Guru breaks down, it breaks down all the links, 2-3 jewels or whatever, anything else also will collapse within a short time. Then this would be, everything will be in vain. All the efforts will, whatever one has put in, everything will be in vain, meaningless. So therefore it's very important always to establish this kind of everlasting link through developing the everlasting right attitude. And the next very important mindfulness taught here, it said, in the prison of the suffering of limitless cyclic existence, wander the 6 types of sentient beings, breath of happiness. Fathers and mothers who protect you with kindness are there. Forsaking desire and hatred, meditate on the endearment and compassion. Not letting your mind stray, place it within compassion. Making your attention unforgettable, maintain it within compassion. So this is mindfulness of Karuna, or compassion, which is another indispensable and most essential and important mindfulness that must be developed. Karuna Bhavana. Actually, Karuna Bhavana has also been explained before, but here it's very explained in a concrete form of meditation, and how actually in what form should we generate that compassion. Karuna is compassion. Compassion is not just only some kind of feeling of like pityness or something like that, emotional state of sentiment of some pityness or something like that. It is extremely important, very deep and very vast. Even the word Karuna in Sanskrit is very meaningful. Karuna comes from the word Kama Aruna. So Kama means desire. Here it means, first Kama means desire, Aruna means to stop. So therefore desire stop. That is what the word Karuna means. So what is meant by desire stop? That means what kind of desire? The selfish desire. That means self-cherishing attitude. That egoism, that is so clinging to the self, this false self, and so attached to it, and desires always its happiness, its gain, its everything good for it. And that is a very fundamental desire that we have. And that is what has to be stopped, that has to be eliminated. And then it becomes compassion. So therefore Kama Aruna and put together is Karuna. Kama means desire, here means the selfish desire for one's own happiness, etc. And Aruna means that which stops it. That means, so therefore it is the opposite of that. That means the sincere attitude of cherishing, endearing, cherishing and caring for the other sentient beings. Deeply concern about other sentient beings in place of one's own self. So here I can tell a funny story. There is so-called FPMT. There's a big kind of Buddhist organization, and a very big one. This was a long time ago. They opened a shop in Italy, and they gave the name Karuna. That means compassion. It's supposed to be compassion actually. In the shop there's not so much compassion. If we make shop compassion, then shop there will be no more any more meaning to have a shop. Because if one to make really a shop of compassion, then one has to give everything freely. And so such a shop will be will be closed, will have to be closed quite soon. So, but anyway, they call it compassion. It sounds very good. Everything's compassion. It's only compassion, but actually they are doing a lot of business, making a big profit out of it, but calling it compassion. And but they did not know the meaning, the word Sanskrit, what's the etymological meaning of it. So therefore a great master, Amitabh Rinpoche, he is very straightforward. And you're right here in the picture, the one with white, beautiful white dhoti. So he's an extraordinary master. So he heard that, what did they call it, their shop, they call it Karuna. Then this will, that means they have to close it soon. Because they think Karuna would be such an auspicious name for a shop, but it's very unauspicious name for a shop. Because Kama, then it will be said Kama Aruna. Kama is the happiness, that desire, that includes above all the profits that one has to make from it. Aruna is stopping, so therefore it is desire stopping, happiness stopping. So that is not such auspicious name for a shop. So surely this shop will not be successful. And that's exactly what happens. Also, what happens. So therefore sometimes we think we give some very auspicious name for something. To make things really auspicious, it has to come from the heart also. When that is not really only put on very nice kind of show like that outwardly, that cannot make everything, or some nice symbols, auspicious name alone will not make things auspicious. If there is real auspiciousness, sincereness, and really sincere attitude or sincere compassion, loving kindness, that can make everything auspicious. Even inauspicious can transform into auspicious. Otherwise, whatever titles, whatever some very special symbols as marks or trademarks or whatever one may put, that does not function. So therefore, it's much better to put yak. not yak. Snow line. So therefore this kind of use of the holy names and so on in a very profane way, just to make business, this never brings anything very auspicious. Nowadays there are plenty of the shops and restaurants and all kinds of things with the names of if you go to Kathmandu, then the whole, it's almost every business enterprise, they all have some kind of holy names. Buddhas and deities' name and this and that, and Nirvana, and etc., etc. But this is all a way of kind of hooking the people, as fishing the people. However, it is not auspicious. So one thinks that, we put names of the Buddha on our shop and we call it this and that. It does not help, that does not bring, because the Buddha is not for business. So therefore, people wrongly thinking, we put the names of the deities. We put deities as the labels of a product. Very often it is done. All that, instead of bringing anything auspicious, it can become inauspicious. So therefore, there is no use of it, and it is the wrong use of it. So instead, there are plenty of other things which are also, which people consider as auspicious symbols and like that. One can put those things as a label, but using the spiritual dharma terms, names and symbols for totally profane, selfish purposes only brings negative effect. Not only in Nepal, but nowadays everywhere, here also, so many Buddha bars and all kinds of things are everywhere. Putting a label of Buddha on the bar, and then whoever drinks, then instead of getting drunk, if they get some kind of emptiness realization, then maybe we can put such a Buddha. But that does not happen. all what happened is double negative. Already, drinking such substances already naturally negative, and in addition putting a Buddha label on it, make it even more negative. So it's only thing is double negative, nothing meaningful whatsoever. So anyway, the word Karuna has real meaning is just or the opposite of egoism and self-cherishing attitude. The desire for the egoistic happinesses. As the Master Choeling has said in our Guru Puja, that we always tighten the endearment of oneself is door for all the suffering, and endearment of all mother sentient beings is the foundation basis of all the virtues, all the qualities. So therefore, please bless me that I can accomplish the practice of exchange of self with others. So that's exactly what it is. That kind of self-cherishing or self-endearment, holding oneself very precious, means as the most precious. My happiness far more important than the happiness of all others. My suffering far more important than the suffering of all others. This kind of making a great distinction between oneself and others, and oneself is the very center of all our focus, almost giving a position which it does not deserve at all, as the center of the universe. And that is our egoism. That must be changed, because all the sufferings which are there on the individual and collective level, they all derive from the self-endearment, the self-cherishing attitude. So therefore, one should understand that and stop it, eliminate it. Instead of that, what one should generate is endearment, the cherishing of other sentient beings. Said they're all mother sentient, because all sentient beings are actually not somebody who is just unrelated to ourselves. We are closely linked and related especially as most kindful. So therefore, like all sentient beings, as Buddha said, they are the most precious, dear to ourselves, most kindful, first of all, like the mothers, but then it includes also best friends, best brothers, sisters, and every positive close link that we have, that exist in the world, we have such a link with all sentient beings. So therefore, Buddha calls them all mother sentient beings. Through understanding that, instead of focusing on that self, open our mind and generate the genuine attitude of cherishing other sentient beings. From there, that is the foundation. From there comes all the virtues. All the virtues of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are just a production of that endearment of the sentient beings. He's cherishing other sentient beings, just as we cherish ourselves. And we have this self-cherishing attitude. And with that, what we do, we always think about liberating ourselves or freeing ourselves from suffering, or separating ourselves from suffering. And always we think of to obtain happiness for oneself. And that is what one has to, this focus to others. So what one has to generate, the genuine attitude of aspiring, wishing that all sentient beings, any sentient being, all sentient beings, wishing them to be separate from the sufferings, to be free from sufferings. Not only oneself, but all sentient beings, to be free from all the sufferings and cause of suffering. When such concern, such aspiration generates, that is called the compassion. Compassion is that strong, this heartfelt, that aspiration, that wish, that desire, to wishing that all other sentient beings to be separate from suffering, to be free from suffering. That one has that kind of attitude, even if it is not immediately towards all, even towards one other sentient being other than oneself, that already fulfills the meaning of compassion. And when one generates that in an impartial way towards all beings, through the training of then it becomes Mahakaruna, that means the great compassion, the universal compassion. And the such compassion, starting from a little compassion, focused upon other sentient being, one sentient being, up to the universal compassion, that of the Bodhisattva, is the very foundation, the base, the root and the source of all happiness and all realization, all spiritual qualities, all virtues. And enlightenment is full enlightenment, exactly a production of that. The seed of enlightenment is compassion, is karuna. So if there is karuna, there is also the result finally is the enlightenment. If there is no karuna, may there be any other qualities, there can be still wisdom or concentration, samadhis of all kinds of levels, and still many other qualities that one may obtain. But enlightenment, a door of enlightenment, remain always closed. So that only opens with the key of the compassion. The compassion is the very important foundation or root of all the root, as well as the seed of all the virtues, and this is called seed of enlightenment. The Buddha's teaching, right, not only on a high level of the Bodhisattva level, where the compassion is emphasized, but right from the very beginning is emphasized. Buddha's all teaching is based or rooted in compassion. As I said before, there are a lot of practices, ethical practices and many things. However, what the root of all that ethic or shila in Buddhism is ahimsa. That means no harming. That means no causing intention any harm to any sentient beings, not only to the humans but also all sentient beings without exception, abandoning totally all thoughts and acts of harming. That is ahimsa. That is the fundamental, the ethic or practice of, according to Buddha's teaching. Why that, that action, that behavior is the most important practice? Because the compassion is the essence of all practice. And ahimsa is nothing else than the expression of that compassion. So therefore, right from the very beginning, when one takes the fundamental vow, the most fundamental vow, it always begins with the practice of ahimsa. That means abandoning, destroying the life of any sentient being, and so on. From there begins then all those levels of ethic. All the ethics are expression of ahimsa. Therefore, all the practice of ethic is expression of compassion. Everything what Buddha taught and also recommend as a practice, as ethics, as shila, as precepts, or this and that, it's all nothing else than expression of compassion. So compassion is the very seed, the trunk of the tree, as well as the fruit of the tree. Everything, from beginning to end, it is all enlightenment itself is also the fruit of the compassion. So therefore, everything is centered around compassion. When there is no compassion, there is no Buddha Dharma. So therefore, this is a very important point, and actually the most important qualities, virtue that anybody can actually develop in one's mind, or should develop in one's mind. These are very directly and clearly taught by enlightened one himself. If one reads, for example, the Sattva Aradhana, that is a sutra, a short kind of sutra, which Buddha has taught, is all about the compassion, the importance of generating compassion, and how everything what Buddha himself has done in the past, what he has accomplished, all those hardships that he has engaged himself in the past, and what he has attained as a result, and what he also has taught, and also wished the followers to follow and to apply into practice, is karuna, is the compassion, and nothing other than compassion.